Handicrafts, from ceramics to souvenirs, and fashion to furniture. Handmade items have been in every sphere of our lives since time immemorial. But in much of today's society, they appear to have been forgotten. They are laborious to make and expensive to buy, and are now often replaced by mass-produced items which can easily be bought from almost anywhere. So why should we care about handicrafts at all? What if I told you they play a fundamental role in one country's identity, economics, and post-war regeneration? They say art is a window to society. Well, in this documentary, I'm going to pull back the curtains and take a close look. Why did Bosnia turn towards handicrafts? And what does it say about this once war-torn country? Just another Saturday afternoon in the Bosnian capital. Locals and tourists in Sarajevo's Ottoman-style bazaar district of Başçarşıya. They've come here to meet, to eat, but perhaps more than anything, to shop. The streets are full of stores selling many different types of merchandise, antiques, stationery, and delicious Bosnian delicacies. But out of all these retailers, the newly established concept stores are the most popular. Here you can find a curated selection of handmade products from all over the country. It seems they have something for everyone. A lot of people here are telling me that the number of these concept stores have increased immensely in the last few years. And they say it's because of an emerging trend. A lot more people are buying and making handicrafted products. These concept stores certainly caught my attention. I'm visiting one of them to ask a few questions about this trend. Bazarjan has been operating here in the main market area for a year. Zana Karkin sells everything from jewelry, clothing and furniture to cute little souvenirs for modest prices. But more importantly, everything here is handmade. So what is the price for this? Do you know?
It's 90 lira.
Really nice. So Zana, I've been told that this is a recent trend here. Is it a case that Bosnians are becoming more and more interested in handicrafts?
Yes, recent years. As you know, Bosnia and Herzegovina, it was in a war some 25 years ago, and young people, ever since then, the country has been trying to recover, to go through this transition period. And although the majority of people are usually pessimistic, but we see now a trend of young people really aiming at doing something on their own and proving that the past is behind us and that we can make our future much better and we can make a bright future.
Everywhere in the city, it's possible to see that this country still carries the cultural, political, but particularly the financial burden of the war. The average unemployment rate in the last decade is 42%, and the youth unemployment rate is the highest in the world at 62%. So, when people are still dealing with the financial legacy of the 90s in Bosnia, I can't help but think that this trend is a part of that dynamic.
Yes, definitely. I'm meeting craftsmen that present their goods in our shop from time to time, and yesterday I just had a meeting with one lady that produces these little sheeps with wool from one of our mountains. And what she was telling to me is that she's really tired of being considered as a person that needs to be given charity after the war, and that she wants to be considered as somebody that is valuable and then produces really amazing products, and she wants to be respected for that. And this is something that, because we offer her market to do that, she's really happy with.
But who is this lady coping with the legacy of the war by making little sheep? I wanted to meet her, so I've come to her studio. It's in a building where you can't miss the scars of the war, scars that are also ever present in her story.
I was unemployed after the war. I was recycling and making everything myself at home. When I was a refugee, I realized that the main strength of a Bosnian woman is to make something out of nothing.
All handicraft jobs after the war were tied to social support during the war. They were represented in such a way. Oh, there's this poor Bosnian woman who doesn't know about anything but handicrafts. We wanted to lift this to a higher level and offer another perspective. Why would you import this chair from India when we can produce it?
Amna was made redundant from her job as an accountant, and her cousin Erdal wanted to find more promising work than in the dying IT industry.
The first product we wanted to make was a Bosnian floor runner. Our grannies used to make floor runners out of worn-out t-shirts. I was fascinated by it. It shows a fight, the will not to surrender. It was the two of us. We tried. If we failed, we wouldn't lose much. But when my daughter got involved, I felt it was a huge responsibility for me.
Elisa is the youngest in the family. She's now an essential part of the business.
I was studying civil engineering before, and I was really bored at that kind of school. I couldn't find myself in that kind of business, so I quit school. My mom was really angry about it, but it's okay. After that, I was employed in a call center. I quit with that kind of job after 2 years, and I was unemployed, and I was sitting home, and I was thinking, okay, what to do now? Then my mom gave me the idea of, she was working also with Edo for 2 years, and I was thinking about, okay, maybe I could try it.
So we can say unemployment gave you an urge to create.
Yes, I didn't know I had that kind of talent in myself.
There's a new trend emerging in Bosnia. A lot of people are turning towards handicrafts. Why do you think this is happening?
Because people are, I think, bored, and everybody is finishing school and everybody's unemployed.
As this has given a new voice to a generation or like people, are you hopeful about the future in Bosnia?
Yes, I am. I'm totally hopeful. After 4 years of really hard work, I see the potential, and I'm totally down for it. It's gonna be good.
Elisa's story demonstrates the healing power of one of the most fundamental traits of human existence, the urge to be creative. From the earliest days of human history, mankind has shown a burning desire to create, and it has been inspired by numerous things in the past: war, love, lust, and even religion. But these days in Bosnia, it seems that creativity has been inspired by an unlikely source: unemployment. For example, Edina. This designer, just like many others, used to have an entirely different type of work. She was an electrical technician. During the economic recession, she lost her job, but came up with something else.
It started very spontaneously. One day I just decided to try to make jewelry. I love handmade things, and I was always good at doing it. I started doing this because I couldn't find a job. I applied, I asked around, but like most of the people in Bosnia, I couldn't find anything. You know, people are unemployed here, not because they don't want to work, but because they can't find a job that they were educated for. There are a lot of young people here who have a university degree, even a master's degree, but they're still unemployed.
She's making colorful earrings and selling them online. Edina says that she can now support her family of 5 through her creative career. But before, as a technician, it was impossible. And of course, especially when she was looking for a job for years and years. So after 4 years of doing this, are you sorry that you weren't able to find a job in the first place?
No, I'm not sorry. I'm very happy now that I couldn't find a job back then.
Who would have thought that unemployment could lead to a new, fulfilled and creative life? Unemployment doesn't only affect professionals, it also hits the elderly, whose lives have been dramatically changed by the war, leaving them even more vulnerable. But it seems like they're also trying to find creative ways to tackle it. These women, however smiling their faces are today, have gone through some of the heaviest calamities of the war. They ended up in concentration camps, some of them the victims of the tens of thousands of cases of systematic rape and sexual enslavement that took place during the bloody 4 years in the 90s. Most lost their husbands, and the burden was on them to look after their families once the conflict began to take its toll.
I was living with my husband and 5-year-old daughter. My husband and I both had jobs. When the aggression on Bosnia started, my husband was killed and I was taken to a camp. I stayed there for 7 months, and after that was kept under house arrest. I was exchanged in a prisoner swap, and after that, because I didn't have a husband anymore, I had to take care of my daughter on my own. As I was young, only 28, I wasn't picky. I would take any job I could find. But after 2005, I couldn't find jobs anymore. They would tell me I was too old.
But now for Jasmina, age doesn't matter, at least for the time being. She's working for this project set up by the Association of Concentration Camp Torture Survivors. Jasmina, along with dozens of other women, is crafting pillows, earning money, and through the strong bonds they've also created, they're all moving forward. They meet up regularly to knit together. So is knitting some sort of a therapy for you?
Through this work, I found a psychological therapy in a way. Because we focus on work and also we share our pain and traumas, because only we can understand each other. We are all psychologically damaged, so this means a lot to us. To have this opportunity to be together and work together, and every piece we make is a better cure for us than any pill.
These colourful pillows carry the burden of the country's history, despite their fine texture. These are so delicate. But I'm given some disappointing information from the founder of the project. But why knitting? How did these women end up knitting for a living?
Because people can't find jobs here, they have started to turn to creativity and handcrafts to earn a living. These women are unemployed, they have kids and need to pay for their education and provide for them. Unfortunately, our state hasn't done anything for them.
Are you hopeful about the future for these women?
At this moment, not really. It's really hard to get finances for such projects. Donators have turned to other war-torn countries, so it's hard for NGOs to find finances.
Widespread corruption, nepotism, and economic stagnation. Here, the wounds of the war are ever present. It's no wonder Bosnia and Herzegovina's unemployment rate is one of the highest in the world. But if the economy is so bad, who's buying all these products? I'm here in the Kucha concept store to ask retailer Salma about how people can still afford to buy handicrafts in hard times.
Well, yes, it's true that the economy is in a bad state here, but still people love and appreciate art and handicrafts, and people of all ages are our customers. Younger ones are more interested in jewelry, for example. The ones who are a bit older are more interested in paintings, but also furniture and home decorations, while middle-aged customers are interested in more detailed, small pieces.
So do you think people are interested in buying these products because they are fed up with globalization, the same products, the same aesthetics everywhere?
Yes, I think so. People are bored with everyone having same things, and that is exactly why they want to go back to the tradition and bring it to their homes. They're trying to make their homes unique by adding art pieces.
In times of financial hardship, the arts are usually the first thing on the chopping board. Who cares about making beautiful objects when you can't even pay your rent? Well, it seems like Bosnia and Herzegovina is challenging this trend. Despite dire economic circumstances, it's managed to end up with a flourishing creative industry. It makes the situation in this country so remarkable and its future mysterious. While the ever vulnerable creative industries are considered dispensable in most of the world today, this country of 3.5 million people is giving a lesson to the whole world on how to tackle that vulnerability. But how did this happen? Is this breakthrough something the war has brought to this country? Bojan Halilovic spent decades working in Bosnian creative industries. We meet in front of the Sarajevo Fine Arts Academy, where he's currently teaching, and I ask him about this situation.
I don't know, during the war, everything was different. Our country was going up before the war. Now, then we crashed down completely and went even much deeper in bad situation. So somehow I think that I'm optimist in one way, that what we teach during the war make us somehow stronger, I hope.
Whilst I had the professor with me, I wanted to ask him about something I had observed about the recent bloom in handicrafts. Why is it generally women who are in this industry?
Women creatives in our country, they are much faster and much easier player than the men. But the women are already prepared to do the things for themselves because sometimes of the family and so on.
And is that also the legacy of the war?
That is, and they are heroic. They are really something which you can teach from them, and to be inspired by our women.
The professor's final words struck a real chord with me.
So you'll start with this.
Women have certainly played an inspiring role in Bosnian history. And they're continuing to impress by leading the way in creating a new industry that is likely to shape up the country's future. I've come to meet two of these women, Zlata and her daughter Samra. They're an all-female family and team making and marketing these dolls from home. But a few years ago, it wasn't what they thought they'd be doing.
I was an electrical engineer. I worked for 38 years. The fact is that after the war, people, mainly women, some men, have turned to some sort of hobbies to keep themselves occupied, and probably to forget about some things, their problems.
Each doll has a card with a photo of the doll, and
Samra was the one who turned it into a business for Zlata. Sending it in a specific direction, as well as customized dolls, they also make dolls of Bosnian queens.
this doll was named after a very famous Bosnian queen called Katarina Kosača.
It's true female empowered work that doesn't actually have much to do with unemployment or the legacy of the war.
When my mother was going to retirement, we needed to find something to give her, something to do, because she was aware that she's going to have a lot of free time, so that's how we got the idea about the dolls.
She's working full-time, but helping her mother at nights.
I have a great job, my everyday job. I'm really satisfied with it because I learn a lot, I travel a lot. I have from Bosnian perspective, I think I have a dream job.
Samra and Zlata's story shows me another face of this Bosnian creative bloom.
But don't you think the financial situation is one of the reasons why this new trend is emerging?
Well, I'm not sure, but I'm talking from my perspective. It's not the money. The thing, I want to earn money. Just I want to do something else. That is a bit different, and money that comes with it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure that is the connection, unemployment with handcrafting.
It seems like Samra's opinions about unemployment shows that there is more to the story than meets the eye. But is Samra and Zlata's experience a one-off, Or are there many other artisans who didn't enter this business purely for financial reasons? Well, it seems like they weren't the only ones. Someone who seems to agree with Samra is Ida, an English teacher turned fashion photographer.
I think the recession and the unemployment is just one segment of it. But I think the most important thing is that this new young generation sees jobs and employment in a different way. For example, when you think about it, I'm a freelancer, and when I try to explain that to somebody, to my mom and dad, we don't even have a word in Bosnian for freelancing because there were no freelancers like 20 years ago. So I think it's not just the unemployment, it's the new thing, you know.
It hasn't been that long since Ida changed careers, but she's already working with some of the biggest names in the country, and hers is definitely neither an unemployment nor a war trauma story.
So do you think that if economy in Bosnia was better, if the chances for young people were better, do you think you would ever go this way? Or do you think you were affected, your destiny was affected by the way Bosnia is at the moment? Or do you just see it as a completely personal story?
For me, it's a completely personal story. But I know a lot of people who couldn't get a job in the area that they were educated for. But for me, it's a completely personal story.
So have you ever wanted to leave the country? Because a lot of youngsters here do, and there is a huge brain drain here. What about you? Was it the case with you?
That's my favorite question. No, never. I love traveling, and I travel a lot, but I never ever thought about leaving the country.
But why do you think a lot of people do here?
Because it's easier to go somewhere else than to fix things here, you know, and it's not all rainbows and butterflies when you go somewhere else. It's people work way more than they work here, and I think that's the major issue.
Ida's words add another layer to this story, a story which is as diverse and layered as Bosnia itself.
Bosnian author Karim Zaimovic said that any future for Bosnia would be like a giant jigsaw puzzle whose dispersed pieces may take decades to put back together into something recognizable. For this generation, part of this process might involve finding some of the lost pieces elsewhere, like handicrafts.
For the final piece of the puzzle, I'm taking a trip to another great city of Bosnia and Herzegovina.
So I've arrived in Mostar. Even though the city is famous for its glorious scenery and this beautiful bridge you see behind me, this is not what I came for. I'm here to talk to a woman who can provide me with some valuable insights into handicrafts in Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Anna is running an online magazine providing in-depth coverage of this recent bloom in handicrafts. She has a brilliant insight into the recent developments.
What do you think about this new trend in the country? Do you think made in Bosnia and Herzegovina is becoming a thing now?
It is. It actually happens a couple of years now. What we like to say, we want to make Bosnia and Herzegovina a home of premium craftsmanship. And we want that people, when they see handmade in Bosnia and Herzegovina, to know that we speak about beautiful design, excellent craftsmanship, and beautiful materials.
Do you think this is a new way to fight the compliant, fatalistic legacy in Bosnia, especially when it comes to financial issues and unemployment? Or do you think that would be too much of a stretch to say that?
No, it wouldn't. As I said earlier, I think a creative industry is like hidden gem in Bosnia and Herzegovina. I can see that when people, for example, come to Bosnia and Herzegovina and they see all the stuff we sell here, and when they see all the beautiful designs and all the good creations and quality products, they say, okay, oh my God, this is excellent. I want to buy it in my country. I really hope and I believe that world will hear a lot more about our label and a lot more about creative industry in Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Made in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Wherever you see it, you should know that there is a long story behind this label. It's a tale of war, identity, economic crisis, and female empowerment. It's about how to make lemonade out of the lemons life gives you, and it's a story of crafting not only products, but hopes, dreams, and the future.